5.2 Part B, the review of both videos, the traces of trade and the difference between us, the race, the power of illusion. Starting with question A in traces of the trade, what role did the racialization play in the creation and maintenance of industry and commerce in Bristol, Rhode Island? The slave market, the monopolization really of the slave market completely shaped the industry and the commerce of Bristol and the surrounding areas and towns. They pointed out in the video that even though this one family was the people that were really starting this and at the head of it, the whole town knew. If this one family was doing the slave transport operation, the slave trade operation, the whole town was sustaining it, and even towns next door and accompanying in that region were sustaining it. They were buying boats from a town, they were buying metal shackles, they were buying extra food from farmers to feed the slaves. Across the board, this industry, like this one really big money-making scheme, helped stir that industry and stir the commerce of Bristol and the surrounding northeast. So it was very good business and very good profit for all involved, and that's probably why it went on so long and why it was so meaningful to people, because it was connected to their money and that was their source of living, and that's what would motivate someone to do something so evil and so terrible. To what extent do you believe the advantages and disadvantages caused by racialization may still be in effect in Bristol, Rhode Island today? I think some disadvantages of it were I haven't looked into the diversity of population or African American population in Bristol, but throughout the videos I saw a handful, if that, of African Americans from Bristol or in Bristol or near Bristol throughout the church scenes and the town scenes and even the parade throughout the past. I didn't see very many of those, very many African Americans represented, so that definitely had an effect, and a disadvantage of there's not that diversity that should be or would be normal. And then I think there are definitely advantages as well. Toward the end of the movie, when the family members that went on this knowledge expedition, this experience, adventure, this conviction adventure, they're sitting around the table and they're sort of talking about their privilege and their, not necessarily their privilege, but their lenses, and every single family member, their parents went to an Ivy League school except for one. And that's a very small percentage of the population. That's a very small sample size. So it was smart that they were looking at their lens and what they were bringing to the table. But I think that's a pretty clear distinction of some advantages that are still in effect today from the success and the success of this slave market and the slave trade, not really slave market, system that was operating in Bristol and that the DeWolf family was causing. And then just the last question, sort of summarizing sort of what stirred you up and what made you think. I was really impressed with the cultural intelligence, something that we've been reading about, we've been talking about, and I was just super impressed with throughout this adventure into Ghana and to Havana. These family members were very interpretive of what was going on. They were knowledgeable, they were gaining knowledge, they were gaining experience, but they're very interpretive of what they were bringing to the table and what other people were receiving from them even. And I thought that was very neat. I was impressed, and I would like to see more of what came of this video, and sort of even I think a cool video would be a checking up on these people several years later, because this movie's relatively outdated, a little old. I gotta sort of speed through these next ones. The difference between us, the race, the power of illusion. To what extent do you think the belief of the illusion of race contributes to the creation or preparation of perceptions that lead to racialization? We love to group, or as humans, we love to be grouping. We love to put people into groups, and we love to judge based on groups. It's just easier to make us take the time to get to know people individually. It is most convenient, it's quickest, and it's very, very misleading often, but the creation of races has allowed that grouping at a very, very mass level. It's enabled us to prejudice, it's enabled us to have stereotypes, essentially. To what extent has the illusion of race influenced your thinking about people whose ethnicity is different than your own? It'd be silly to say I didn't think this has affected me. It's definitely affected me. It's affected everyone. I think this class has been very foretelling and very convicting in how racialized our society is. It's impossible to escape it. It's impossible as a white person even to benefit it at times, and it's very difficult to escape it as a minority or as an African American. So it's something that the grouping of races has definitely led to stereotypes and led to assumptions and prejudices and opportunities and that are changing just based on your skin color, which is awful and not accurate, and it's not fair at all. The last thing that in this video what just had significant meaning in race in question stirred a strong emotion, and really the biggest thing to me was they had a little moment on the Olympics when Germany hosted and Hitler was preaching his supreme race, and the superior race, and Jesse Owens just dominated and smashed the Olympics. I love athletics in general, and I think it can just transcend so many things, and I think that was a time in our history that is really understated, the difference that Jesse Owens made in the statement that he made about race and about not judging people, people not being better or superior based on their skin tone or their eye color or their stature, but everyone is individual. So that's something that's been very, very interesting to me, and definitely struck me. So really enjoyed both these videos.